Hey, what's up, everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here. Once again, it is that time of the month. Time to talk about my favorite albums that were released October 2025. And what an excellent month this was. So stacked. This was really hard this month to narrow down this list. Like, I've got 20 albums for you here. This easily could have been expanded to like 25 or 30, but that's a little out of control. Gotta draw the line somewhere. There's a lot of stuff that I just didn't end up including on this list because maybe I only thought it was decent. I'm trying to highlight just the ones that I really think you should go check out. And honestly, this was one of the stronger months of this year for sure. Like, there's stuff that's outside of my top 10 this month that I still really enjoy. There's just that many good albums that came out this month. I got a really good mix as usual, bunch of different subgenres. And as usual, I want your picks down below. Let me know what your favorites of the month were, which ones I missed that I need to go check out, because as much as I try to listen to a ton of albums, there's just some stuff that goes under my radar, stuff that I haven't listened to yet, and I absolutely love getting your recommendations because that's how I discover even more great music, and hopefully you can discover a few albums from my list. So, without further ado, here we go. Here's 20 of my favorite albums from the month. So, kicking it off in 20th place, Nils Patrik Johansson with his new album, War and Peace. So this is some heavy metal, power metal from Sweden. The vocalist here, obviously, the name of the band, solo record. You know him from bands like Wuthering Heights, Astral Doors. It's just, yeah, that's what really carries. The songs here got really like a Dio vibe going on. The album itself, you could say it's a little bit predictable. It's a little uneven. It's not my favorite thing out there for sure, but there's still some nice moments. And because of how good of a vocalist he is, I still wanted to mention this here. Like, this isn't on par with the best stuff by Wuthering Heights or Astral Doors, but it's still pretty decent. Go check it out. Make your own opinions. I wanted to throw it on here anyways, even if I don't necessarily think it's an outstanding album. It's just an okay album. Up next, Typhus with their album Fate Weaver. So this is some thrash metal, power metal from Greece. This is like kind of a mix of a band like Toxic with a band like Sanctuary. Like, you have some progressive elements in there in the riffing. So it's not just a straight ahead thrash record. They bring in some of that like progressive power metal elements as well. Really interesting vocals, which, yeah, really remind me of a band like Sanctuary, but it's just really full of great riffs. It's quite enjoyable stuff here. Not your typical thrash album by any means, but if you're into thrash, go check this one out because it goes some different directions and has a different approach than what you might be expecting. Overall, a very good album. Up next, some black metal. Ofermod with their new album Drakosophia. Probably mispronouncing that. I mispronounce everything all the time. I do my best, but that's my best attempt at that. So, Swedish black metal. So, you know what you're in store for when you hear that description. Think bands like Dissection or Watain. Stuff in that vein. Like, they're not reinventing the wheel here by any stretch, but this is just some straight ahead orthodox black metal in Swedish style. It's just a pretty solid album overall, even if it's not like breaking down barriers or doing anything new. It's still just a solid slab of black metal that you should go check out. Up next, something very different. Bergfried with their album Romantik Part 3. So this is some heavy metal, hard rock with a very unique approach. This is like romantic AOR style music with female vocals, but also just with a little bit more of a heavy metal flavor in there as well. Like, this reminds me of a band like Heart, but a more heavy metal version of Heart. What drew me to this band is that the guitar player here is the guy from Ancient Mastery, who's in a ton of other bands as well. But I love his style of songwriting in Ancient Mastery, which is a black metal band. But he always had brought in some different influences. And this doesn't sound anything like Ancient Mastery. It's a really odd album. It's very unique, but I enjoy it nonetheless. I always like to try something different here and there. And this is definitely unique and different. It's probably not going to be for everyone. But if you're willing to take a chance, go give it a shot. The melodies here are glorious. Really good guitar work. The singing, yeah, might not be for everyone, but go check it out if you just want to try something different. Overall, it's pretty enjoyable. Up next, Black Soul Horde with their new album Symphony of Chaos. So going back to Greece this time with some heavy metal slash power metal. This was released right on Halloween, and it really goes with the theme of the album here, all about like monsters and horror stories and whatnot. I really enjoyed their last album from a couple years ago, and this one is in a pretty similar vein. They just really know how to write these epic heavy metal tales. He's got like kind of a nasally, high-pitched voice. A lot of times, he's not afraid to change it up too, but think bands like Manila Road is probably an influence for them here. Just full of great riffs and vocals in the Greek style. The Greeks just know how to play heavy metal. They just really do. But yeah, all in all, a very solid album. Up next, we're going to stick with Greece, but this time go with some Greek black metal with Zarathus and their new album, Those Who Dwell Beyond. So this band features members of Varathron and Thou Art Lord. This just has that Greek black metal style that I absolutely love. So you know what that sounds like. You've got the epic atmosphere, just epic black metal with unique vocals, not afraid to experiment and do some different things. It's just, yeah, so atmospheric. But the songwriting here is very well executed. All in all, a very good black metal album. Up next, Dolmen Gate with their new album Echoes of Ancient Tales. So this is some epic heavy metal from Portugal, another female-fronted band. I really enjoyed their debut from just last year, actually, so they've done a quick turnaround here to their second album. But while I enjoyed that debut, I did really feel like there was some room for growth there. Maybe the songwriting wasn't as developed as it could be, and they have improved on this sophomore album. So I hope they just keep following that career trajectory and keep getting better, because then they might have a masterpiece in them down the road. Like this album opens up with a 9-minute epic. That's probably the best song on the album. If you've never heard them before, go check out that opening track. Give you a taste of what they're all about. But yeah, just some solid epic heavy metal. Dolmen Gate. Up next, an abstract illusion with their new album, The Sleeping City. So some progressive death metal from Sweden. This one seems to be getting quite a bit of hype, just like their last album did. It just seemed to get endless praise. And while I enjoyed the last album and I enjoy this album, I don't necessarily get all the hype behind it. I don't want to sound like I'm being too negative here, but I don't know. This just hasn't really clicked for me like it seems to for a ton of other people. But I mean, that's what opinions are for. Like, go make your own opinion here. Like, there's definitely some good songwriting on here. I feel like the synths are way overused, and maybe some of these songs kind of drag on a little bit in spots, but I don't want it to sound all negative. Like, there's still a lot of good material here, and I like the style in general. I just am not quite on the hype train this band seems to be getting. I think both the last album and this album are decent, but it's probably not something that you're going to see on my personal year-end list. But I included it here because it's still definitely worth checking out if you're into progressive death metal. Up next, Sunken with the new album Lykke. Might be mispronouncing that. This is some atmospheric black metal from Denmark. This is very emotionally charged music. It has like depressed, tortured vocals. It's just really expansive, long tracks throughout this whole album. Think like a band like Wolves in the Throne Room, their early stuff, meets a band like Soulblood, if that makes sense at all. It kind of brings in a dose of like DSBM with the atmospheric black metal. So you take those two influences together, and that's kind of what this sounds like in a nutshell. Obviously, just go listen to it yourself. But yeah, really good album to get sucked into if you're looking for something more on the like depressive black metal side, but that still has a great atmosphere throughout. Up next, Evoken with their new album Mendacium. I can't even read my own writing. That doesn't sound right. Mendacium. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say anything. Let's just clear that up. I don't know how to read my own writing. Whatever. Evoken's new album. So yeah, US Funeral Doom, band that's been around a really long time. This is just dark and foreboding and very evil atmosphere throughout this whole thing. Like, yes, it sounds like an Evoken album. This is Funeral Doom in a nutshell. Very slow, downtrodden songs, just a crawling pace. I do find some tracks here work a lot better than others. Like, personally, admittedly, I'm not a huge Funeral Doom guy. I love Doom metal, but Funeral Doom's never really been something that's grabbed me too much. So take what I say about this with a grain of salt, because if you love Funeral Doom, you'll probably absolutely eat this album up. But for me, some of the songs kind of just not much happens. The riffs don't really go anywhere and don't necessarily climax. But then on other songs, it really does work. So this is still mostly a success and still mostly a very good album. But yeah, like I said, if you're really into Funeral Doom, you will probably love this album. For me, myself, I still think it's a pretty good album with maybe a couple gripes here and there. So those are the first 10. Now let's get into my top 10 where it gets even better. So, kicking it off in 10th place, going with Sintage and the new album Unbound Triumph. So this is some German heavy metal, throwback 80s style heavy metal. Think for fans of bands like Venator or Ambush, stuff in that vein, like the new wave of traditional heavy metal. If you're into the good bands in that style, I'm sure you will like this here. It's just full of catchy tunes, great guitar licks and solos throughout, and solid vocals. It's just my kind of traditional heavy metal, and it's really well executed. Overall, a solid album, and that's why I put it in my top 10. In 9th, going with Wode and the new album Uncrossing the Keys. So some UK black metal with a dose of like traditional heavy metal melodies in there as well. I've been a fan of this band since their debut album, actually, and they never are content to just do the same thing twice. Like, this is now their 4th album, and each album has slight variations from the previous one. Like, this one even has some Doom influence in some songs. Like, there's some riffs and moments in songs that kind of sounds like Paradise Lost in a way, but it just, yeah, it has a different shade compared to the previous albums. I think this album is pretty good, but to be honest, I don't think it's hitting me quite as hard as their first 3 did, at least not yet. Maybe this will be more of a grower, but there's still great melodies here. I still love the approach, and I dig everything this band has done. It's just, yeah, maybe not quite on the level as what they've done before. Nonetheless, an album that's worth checking out. In 8th, Testament with their new album Parabellum. So thrash legends from the USA that should need no introduction. This band never disappoints. One of my favorite thrash bands for a reason. And this is just a very solid modern Testament album. Say the word modern because I'm not going to put this on the level of their all-time classics from back in the heyday. It doesn't quite have that vibe, but for their newer era of the band, this is a very solid release. They bring in some blackened touches. It's got great leads and melodies. The deathy thrash parts are awesome as well. Brought in a new drummer, Chris Dovis from Seven Spires, and he seems to have brought like a youthful energy to the band, kind of re-energized them and brought a different element, gave them some new life. So yeah, like I said, all in all, this is a pretty solid Testament album. I honestly would say it's probably their best since the formation of Damnation. I don't think it's as good as that album or all of the earlier albums, but of their last few, I think this one is their best one out of those handful of albums. So all in all, a pretty solid Testament album. And I have no problem with them releasing something like this at this point in their career because it's very enjoyable. All right, now we're into the top 7. This is where it got a little tougher for me. I would say these next 7 are a step above everything else that I just talked about. As I get down to the top, even better than the next couple I'm going to talk about. But these 7 are my absolute favorites of the month, that if I really want to recommend stuff from this month, as much as those albums I talked about already are pretty good, these next ones are really good, at least in this guy's opinion. So, in 7th place, Hornblower with their debut, The Resurgence of Virtue and Crime. So this is some Canadian black metal, and this is straight up God Killer worship, rebirth of the Middle Ages worship. If you've never heard God Killer and that EP, go listen to that first, because this is pretty much a knockoff of that style, which, so, I mean, you gotta take some points off for not being original, not being unique at all, but this is, the point of this is to pay tribute to that album and band, and he absolutely nails the aesthetic and sound, down to everything, the guitar tone, the vocals, everything about it. So even though it's not original, getting like another album in the style of Rebirth of the Middle Ages is definitely not something I'm going to complain about, because there's not enough albums out there in that style. I absolutely love it. Yeah, you did nailed this sound perfectly. So go check out Hornblower, get your horn blown, and listen to this album. Up next in 6th, sticking with black metal, One of Nine with their new album Dawn of the Iron Shadow. So this is some US melodic black metal with a nice dose of keyboards in there as well. So think for fans of bands like Summoning, Dimmu Borgir, Emperor, maybe a newer band like Stormkeep, that general style, but they're doing their own thing here. I mean, you got the Tolkien worship, as many black metal bands do, but look at that album cover. Like, that is absolutely gorgeous. That should tell you what kind of music this is just by looking at that. Yeah, very keyboard heavy, melodic black metal. It's epic and triumphant throughout. Just excellent stuff. I love this style of black metal, and they absolutely nailed this sound. Go check out this album if you're into anything that I just said, because you will not be disappointed. Up next in 5th, Wings of Steel with the new album Winds of Time. So this is some traditional heavy metal from the USA, another band that's doing the throwback 80s style, but this time really reminiscent of bands like Queensryche, Crimson Glory, shades of Dio in the vocals as well. Like, the 80s glory is revived, and you can live it through this album. The guitar work really shines here. The vocals are great as well. Go check out the opening track here, an 11-minute epic to start the album, the title track. If you're not into that, don't bother listening to the rest, because you won't like it, but I don't know why you wouldn't like it. It's a great track, and it's a great album. There's one song on here that kind of stands out as not as good as the others, and that's really the only reason I don't have this higher than 5th, because I was gonna say front to back, this thing is awesome. I'd say there's one exception, at least to me. You take that one song off, and this is a near flawless album, but nonetheless, it's still a very great album for 95% of it anyways. But yeah, go check this one out if you're into traditional heavy metal, because it won't disappoint you. All right, these next 4, it got really tough. These ones, even like as I'm looking at this, I'm debating reordering it. Over time, these 4 could change, like even another month and a bit when I do my year-end list. I wouldn't necessarily think these are going to be in the same order, because some of them just came out, but these 4, really, really great stuff. For today, let's see, in 4th place, Hooded Menace with their new album, Lachrymose, Monuments of Obscuration. Say that 10 times fast. Death Doom Legends from Finland. They have been super consistent over the course of their discography. No stinkers, and this one continues that trend. Every album they've done also somewhat changes their style, kind of like what I was saying about Wode. Not that these bands sound anything similar, but I mean in that from album to album, you're not getting the same style that they've done before. And the same is true here. While they've still kept a lot of the heavy metal influence that was on their last album with some of the nice lead work, that's still present here. So that's the best comparison of a previous album, would be the last one, to this one. But this time around, they brought in a more gothic touch, and it just really like accentuates the horror gothic vibe throughout this album. I mean, they even do a Duran Duran cover. I mean, that's a choice for a Death Doom band, but they do it pretty well. I will say a couple of the songs don't hit the mark as much as some of the others, at least to me. Some of them drag on a little bit too much, so I think, like, as I've listened to this over the course of the month, I think I still prefer the Tritonus Bell to this album, but this one, that's not to take anything away here. This is still a very solid album and a great addition to their very consistent discography. The riffs on this album are so goddamn good. Like, this is still a 9 out of 10 probably, or close to. I don't know, it's hard to score this when I've only been listening to it for a few weeks, but it's just a very good album. I'll say 8.5 out of 10, but whatever. It's a good album. I've got it in 4th place for today. See if that changes come year-end time. Up next in 3rd, I'm going with Aephanemer and their new album, Utopie. So this is some French symphonic, neoclassical, melodic death metal. I don't talk about a ton of mellow death anymore, because modern mellow death usually is pretty hit or miss for me. So if you hear me talking about a modern mellow death band, you can bet that it's very fucking good, and this band definitely suits that description. This is their 4th full length, and honestly, they just keep getting better with each release. Like, their debut was decent, their 2nd album was great, their 3rd album was a little bit better than that, and this might just be their best, but it did just come out, so I need some more time with it before I can definitively say that. But what a killer band here. Like, The musicianship that's on display here is absolutely top notch. Melodies for days. The guitar playing and neoclassical stylings here. It's so great, and throwing in the symphonics to match. Like, this is just a triumph, a mellow death triumph. It is so good. Check out all their stuff if you haven't heard them before. Absolutely great band releasing a killer album. That leaves two more absolutely killer albums coming into this month. I would have thought this next one would be my number one. I'm putting it at number two because something else surprised me, but it's still pretty high up here. So in number two, Afsky with their new album that I surely can't pronounce, Faellesskab. I don't know. Afsky's new album. So, one-man black metal band from Denmark. I absolutely love this band. Every release he has done is absolute gold, and this one has not ended that streak of absolute goodness. Like, they just have such a specific black metal sound that he nails. It's really aggressive, harsh black metal, yet it's sorrowful at the same time. His songwriting is so emotional, and it's just so damn good. Like, one second he'll pull on your heartstrings with a nice acoustic moment, and then it's just so much full of melancholic melodies, but then the tortured vocals come in and it'll start raging black metal. It's just full of yearning, and it takes you on a journey. I just love this band to death. Like I said, everything he releases is gold, and this one is no exception. Go check out everything he's released. And that's why I have it this high in second place. But that just leaves one. My favorite album for the month is Remina, or Remina. I'm not sure on the pronunciation, with their new album, The Silver Sea. So this is some atmospheric, gothic, cosmic doom. A very apt description for this. A very unique band. They features the guitar player from the black metal band Sojourner, and then the vocalist Lykke, she used to be in Draconian. So if you've heard the last couple Draconian albums, that's her doing lead vocals here. And it's just like, these songs are built around her vocals. Her voice is so ethereal and soothing and just beautiful. Like, it sucks you into the cosmic void. This music is just, it's so hard to describe. It just washes over you. It's comforting yet exhilarating at the same time. Like, it may seem like not much is going on in a song, but it just transports you into the cosmos. It's very unique, and it just stands out from the crowd because there's not really anyone else making music like this. Yes, her voice drives these songs, but there's so much more going on here. You've got some spacey synths. You've got 80s goth vibes in some songs as well. It's a very different album than what I would generally be attracted to or want to listen to, but it just sucked me in, and I am loving it. I've been spending so much time with it. Brings in a couple guest vocalists as well, like on the song Vantaray. Brings in the guy from Skyle, who released a killer album last year, and his voice matched with Heike's voice is just a match made in heaven. One of the best songs on here for sure. So yeah, another one that maybe this album is not going to be for everyone because it's a very unique and different style of doom. But if you're willing to take a chance on something different, the atmosphere here and the soothing, beautiful voice will just make you drift away. This would be perfect to listen to while gazing up at the stars and just close your eyes and drift off. It's that kind of album, and that's why I'm putting it number one for the month. So anyways, those are just my thoughts and opinions for now, and I want to get yours down below. Enough talking. Until next time, Hammerheart Metal Reviews out.